Hey guys, last FRQ before the AP test that I'm going to do, and you guys are going to have two for homework tonight. So here's the problem. 2012, problem number 6. For time between 0 and 12, the particle is moving along the x-axis. The velocity of the particle, the time t is given by this, so they're giving us an expression for the velocity of the particle. The particle is at position x equals -2 with time t equals 0, so that's telling you x of 0 equals -2. So the initial x position is -2. Okay, so A, between 0 and 12, when is the particle moving to the left? Okay, A. So the particle moves to the left when the velocity, when v of t is less than 0. You got negative velocity, you're heading in the negative x direction. Okay, so we got to find out when v of t is less than 0. Well, I know the cosine function looks like this. That's pi over 2, and that's 3 pi over 2. So that's cosine of t. Okay. Now, it's not cosine of t, it's cosine of pi over 6t. So when does that equal pi over 2? Multiply both sides by 6 and divide by pi. What I end up getting is 3. So t is 3 and 3 pi over 2. So when is pi over 6t equal to 3 pi over 2? Well, guys, I can just see 3 pi over 2 is 3 times pi over 2, so it's going to be 9. So v of t is less than 0 when t is between 3 and 9. So it gives you 2 points for that. Okay. Okay, next. Right, but do not evaluate. Okay, guys, so it's going to be probably something complicated, too hard to evaluate without a calculator. The integral expression that gives the total distance. Remember, total distance. So if I walk 3 that way and then 2 back, the total distance is 5. The displacement's 1. 3 minus 2 is 1, but the total distance is 5. So remember, that's that absolute value thing. Travel by the particle from time t equals 0 to t equals 6. So b, it's an integral. So I'm taking the integral from 0 to 6. To get position, I integrate velocity. So it's the absolute value of velocity. And that's it, guys. That's all they're looking for. That's an easy 1 point. Okay. Part C. Find the acceleration of the particle at time t. Okay, so I need a of t. So I've got to take the derivative. Okay, guys, the derivative of cosine is negative sine pi over 6t. Then I got to multiply by the derivative of the thing on the inside, which is pi over 6. So to write it more succinctly, it's negative pi over 6 times sine pi over 6t. So that's the acceleration as a function of time. Okay? So then it asks, is the speed increasing, decreasing, or neither at time t equals 4? Okay, so remember, the speed is increasing if the acceleration and the velocity have the same sign. My speed's increasing, it's getting more positive if the speed is positive and I'm accelerating positive. The speed is becoming greater if the velocity is negative and I'm accelerating negative. Because remember, speed is the absolute value of velocity. So what I need is, I need the velocity at time 4. So that's going to be cosine pi over 6 times 4. That's the cosine of 2 pi over 3. 2 pi over 3. So 2 pi over 3, that is a 60-degree. Cosine of 60 degrees is 1/2. 2 pi over 3 is in the second quadrant, all students, so it's negative. So that's negative 1/2. Okay? And then the acceleration at time 4 is negative pi over 6 times sine pi over 6 times 4, which is negative pi over 6 times the sine of 2 pi over 3. Okay, the cosine of 60 is 1/2. The sine of 60 is root 3 over 2. All students in second quadrant is positive, so that's going to be negative pi over 6 times root 3 over 2. So it's negative root 3 pi over 12. So that's less than 0, that's less than 0. So therefore, the speed is increasing at t equals 4, since the velocity and acceleration have the same sign. Okay, so that's C. I'm going to get another piece of paper and I'll do D. Okay, guys, I have another piece of paper. Hey, so far I'm seeing we've got 2 points for part A. There's 1 part to get where via t is 0, 1 point to do this. That was 1 point. This was 3 points. 1 point to get the derivative of A, and then 2 points for this. So D is worth 3 points. So they want the position of the particle at time 4, so they want x of 4. Well, I know the initial value, 0. So it's x of 0 plus the integral from 0 to 4 of v of t dt. Okay? So it's going to be negative 2 plus the integral from 0 to 4 of cosine pi over 6t dt. Okay, the integral of cosine is sine. So it's going to be negative 2 plus the sine pi over 6t. Now guys, in here I got to multiply by the reciprocal of that, so it's going to be 6 over pi. You could think of it as u sub. U equals pi over 6t. So du equals pi over 6 du. So, dt. So when you replace dt, you got to replace it with 6 over pi du. And then when you take the integral, you get that. So guys, I got to evaluate from 0 to 4. So it's negative 2 plus 6 over pi times sine 2 pi over 3 minus sine 0. Sine 0 is 0. Sine 2 pi over 3 I found over here was root 3 over 2. So guys, the answer is x of 4 equals negative 2 plus 6 over pi times root 3 over 2, which is negative 2 plus 3 root 3 over pi. That's the answer. That's the last 3 points. All right, guys, homework tonight is 2 free responses. I'll give a brief overview of them in the last video.